In the twilight of a dying star, amidst the swirling mists of an uncharted nebula, the luminary empire stood as a beacon of unparalleled splendor. Within its crystalline citadels, where gravity bent to architectural will and light danced through prismatic walls, Princess Silvara emerged as the crown jewel of her civilization. Her people, the Luminari, were beings of pure energy manifested in physical form, their translucent bodies shimmering with the colors of 1,000 sunsets. They possessed technology that made interstellar travel seem as natural as breathing, and their society thrived on harmony, beauty, and the pursuit of perfection. Silvara's education had been nothing short of extraordinary. From the moment she could process information, she was immersed in the galaxy's most sophisticated learning systems. She mastered quantum physics while floating among holographic constellations, studied the art of diplomatic relations with ambassadors from across known space, and learned to navigate the complex web of galactic politics that maintained peace throughout their sector. Yet for all her advanced knowledge, there remained one aspect of the universe that remained purely theoretical in her understanding: human males. The Luminari archives were filled with fragmented records and ancient stories about Earth's inhabitants, particularly the male warriors who once roamed their planet's battlefields. These tales spoke of beings driven by primitive instincts, whose strength was matched only by their capacity for destruction. The princess had dismissed these accounts as mere fairy tales, cautionary fables meant to illustrate the dangers of unchecked aggression. After all, what purpose would such creatures serve in a universe that valued enlightenment and cooperation? The idea of formidable human males seemed as mythical to her as the legendary phoenixes of Andromeda. Her perspective was further shaped by the current state of human civilization, which had evolved significantly since those ancient times. The humans she encountered through official channels were diplomats, scientists, and traders, civilized beings who had embraced peaceful coexistence with other species. The warrior archetype existed only in historical records and cultural mythology, much like the legendary heroes of old Earth literature. To Silvara, these stories were no more real than the fictional characters in their ancient dramas. Yet fate, as it often does, had other plans for the young princess. As she stood before the grand observation window of her palace, watching the stars dance in their eternal ballet, she couldn't have imagined how quickly her understanding of the universe was about to change. The galaxy, vast and mysterious, held secrets even the mighty Luminari had yet to uncover, and among them lay the truth about humanity's forgotten warriors. The catalyst for this revelation came in the form of galactic war, a conflict so vast and devastating that it threatened to reshape the very fabric of known space. The Triaxian Collective, a militaristic alliance of species united by conquest and expansion, had broken centuries of peace with their aggressive advances into neutral territories. Their fleet, composed of ships that seemed to consume stars whole, moved with calculated precision, leaving behind only silence and darkness in their wake. What began as isolated skirmishes quickly escalated into full-scale warfare, drawing countless civilizations into its destructive embrace. Princess Silvara found herself thrust into the heart of this cosmic storm when the Triaxians launched a surprise assault on the outer rim of the Luminary Empire. Their attack was unlike anything the Luminari had ever faced, brutal, relentless, and seemingly without mercy. The elegant defense systems of the crystalline citadels, designed more for deterrence than actual combat, proved woefully inadequate against the raw power of Triaxian weaponry. For the first time in their long history, the Luminari faced extinction not as an abstract concept but as an imminent reality. In desperation, the Luminary Council turned to their ancient alliances, calling upon every friendly power in the galaxy for assistance. Among the first to respond was the United Terran Coalition, bringing with them something the Luminari hadn't seen in generations: human warriors. These weren't the peaceful diplomats or scholarly researchers Silvara had encountered before, but soldiers forged in the fires of countless conflicts. Their arrival marked a turning point in the war, but for the princess, it represented something far more profound: the shattering of deeply held beliefs about the nature of humanity itself. As the first wave of Terran reinforcements arrived, Silvara witnessed something that defied everything she thought she knew about human males. Standing at the forefront of the defense line was Captain Marcus Drake, a figure who seemed to embody the ancient warrior spirit her people had dismissed as myth. His presence was magnetic, radiating a combination of disciplined control and raw potential that caught her completely off guard. Standing 6 feet tall with broad shoulders that spoke of years of combat conditioning, his physical form seemed almost impossibly perfect, as if chiseled from some primordial essence of strength itself. What struck Silvara most wasn't just his physical appearance, though that alone challenged her preconceptions. It was the way he carried himself. Every movement deliberate yet fluid, exuding a quiet confidence that commanded respect without demanding it. His tactical mind worked with machine-like precision, processing battlefield data faster than her most advanced processors. When he issued commands, his voice carried an authority that transcended language barriers, resonating with both his troops and allied forces alike. The other Terran warriors followed him with unwavering loyalty, their trust evident in every synchronized maneuver they executed under his leadership. During the initial counteroffensive against Triaxian forces, Captain Drake demonstrated capabilities that seemed almost supernatural to Silvara's eyes. He moved through chaos with impossible grace, anticipating enemy movements before they occurred and adjusting strategies in real time with alarming speed. The way he coordinated with his team was mesmerizing, each gesture, each glance carrying volumes of unspoken communication. When the Triaxians attempted to flank their position, he responded with a countermove so innovative that even the Luminari's strategic AI couldn't have predicted it. Most astonishing to the princess was how his apparent brutality was tempered by a deep sense of honor and compassion. She observed him risk his life to save wounded allies, showing no hesitation in placing himself in harm's way. Yet this wasn't the blind courage of a reckless fighter. Rather, it was calculated heroism born from experience and understanding of true sacrifice. In moments of crisis, his presence became a stabilizing force, his calm demeanor spreading reassurance through entire battalions. Silvara found herself studying his every move, trying to reconcile this living embodiment of warrior excellence with the dismissive notions she'd held about human males being mere fantasy figures. The first direct interaction between Princess Silvara and Captain Marcus Drake occurred during a critical moment when the outcome of the battle hung precariously in the balance. The Triaxian forces had launched a multi-pronged assault, targeting both the main defensive line and several key supply routes simultaneously. As the situation deteriorated, Silvara found herself in the command center, desperately attempting to coordinate the Luminari's response while maintaining communication with allied forces. It was here that Drake approached her, his armor scorched from recent combat, but his bearing as resolute as ever. "Your Highness," he began, his voice cutting through the chaos with surprising clarity, "we need to evacuate civilians from sectors 7 through 12 immediately. My team can create a diversion, but we need your people to handle the transport logistics." His words carried none of the deference typical of diplomatic encounters, instead presenting a stark assessment of the situation with military efficiency. Silvara, initially taken aback by his direct approach, quickly realized the wisdom in his suggestion. Their exchange unfolded with unexpected synergy. As they worked side by side, coordinating evacuation efforts while simultaneously planning counterattacks, Silvara discovered layers to Drake she hadn't anticipated. Between issuing orders and analyzing tactical data, he shared insights into human military philosophy that revealed a depth of thought she found profoundly moving. "War isn't just about winning battles," he explained during a brief lull. "It's about preserving what makes life worth fighting for." His words resonated deeply with Luminari values, despite originating from a culture built on conflict. The relationship evolved organically through shared experiences of extreme pressure. During one particularly intense engagement, when Triaxian forces breached the perimeter defenses, Drake instinctively positioned himself between Silvara and incoming fire. This act of protection, performed without hesitation, marked a turning point in their dynamic. It wasn't merely the physical act itself, but the underlying recognition that her safety mattered beyond strategic considerations. In that moment, Silvara felt something stir within her, a connection that transcended species and societal expectations. As days turned into weeks, their interactions grew more frequent and intimate. They began meeting in quieter moments, discussing everything from military strategy to cultural differences. Drake's genuine curiosity about Luminari society pleased Silvara, especially when he asked thoughtful questions about their artistic traditions and philosophical beliefs. In turn, she found herself drawn to his stories of Earth's history, particularly the human capacity for growth and redemption. Their conversations often stretched late into the artificial night cycle, neither willing to end discussions that felt increasingly vital to their understanding of each other. The emotional complexity of their relationship deepened when Silvara witnessed Drake making difficult decisions that weighed heavily on him. She saw the toll leadership took on him, the burden of responsibility for lives lost under his command. One evening, after a particularly costly battle, she found him alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The vulnerability she glimpsed in that moment shattered any remaining illusions she might have had about human males being simple warriors. Here was a being of extraordinary strength, yet capable of profound introspection and emotional depth. Their bond continued to strengthen through shared victories and losses. Each successful operation brought them closer, while each setback forged new understanding between them. Silvara began to notice how Drake's presence affected not just her, but the entire morale of both Luminari and Terran forces. His ability to bridge cultural gaps, to find common ground between vastly different species, transformed the nature of their alliance. What had begun as a professional relationship rooted in necessity evolved into something far more significant. A partnership that challenged everything Silvara believed about leadership, courage, and the nature of true strength. The war's demands intensified, pushing both Silvara and Captain Drake to their limits. A series of devastating defeats forced them to retreat to the ancient fortress world of Velcara, a Luminari stronghold hidden within a collapsing star system. The journey there tested their growing bond as never before. During the harrowing escape from their previous position, Drake sacrificed half his squadron to ensure Silvara's safe passage. Watching his people fall while protecting hers tore at her core, revealing the brutal calculus of war that no amount of royal education could have prepared her for. Velcara's defenses, though formidable, required extensive repairs and upgrades to withstand the inevitable Triaxian assault. Here, their relationship faced its greatest challenges yet. The constant proximity and shared responsibilities created moments of both incredible intimacy and painful separation. Drake spent long hours coordinating with his engineers, adapting human technology to interface with Luminari systems, while Silvara worked tirelessly to maintain morale among her people. Their paths crossed in stolen moments, brief encounters in maintenance corridors or quiet discussions in engineering bays, each interaction charged with unspoken emotions. The strain of leadership began to show on both of them. Silvara watched as Drake bore the weight of command decisions that cost lives daily, his face etched with lines of exhaustion and responsibility. Yet he never wavered in his duty, never allowed personal feelings to cloud his judgment. This steadfast commitment to his role both inspired and frustrated her, as she struggled to balance her growing affection for him with her responsibilities as a princess. Their arguments, when they came, were fierce and passionate, born from the stress of their situation and the intensity of their connection. Despite these challenges, their partnership proved invaluable. Together, they developed innovative strategies that combined Luminari energy manipulation with human tactical ingenuity. Silvara's understanding of quantum fields meshed perfectly with Drake's grasp of three-dimensional warfare, creating defensive patterns that baffled Triaxian commanders. In moments of crisis, their ability to anticipate each other's thoughts became almost telepathic, leading to split-second decisions that saved countless lives. The Luminari warriors, initially skeptical of human methods, began to view Drake not as an outsider but as an integral part of their resistance effort. The emotional toll mounted as they prepared for the final stand against the Triaxian fleet. Supplies dwindled, casualties mounted, and hope grew increasingly fragile. Yet through it all, their bond strengthened, forged in the crucible of shared hardship. Late-night strategy sessions became opportunities for deeper understanding, while battlefield coordination revealed new dimensions to their connection. Silvara found herself drawn to Drake's resilience, his ability to maintain hope in the face of overwhelming odds, while he marveled at her capacity to inspire loyalty and courage in others. Their relationship evolved into something neither had anticipated nor could fully comprehend. It transcended the boundaries of species, culture, and circumstance, becoming a force that influenced every aspect of their war effort. The other warriors noticed the change, how their princess and the human captain seemed to operate as a single entity on the battlefield, their actions perfectly synchronized. Even the most hardened veterans found themselves moved by the silent communication that passed between them during critical moments. Yet beneath this professional synergy lay a deeper current of emotion, one that neither dared fully acknowledge as the shadow of ultimate sacrifice loomed ever larger over their shared destiny. As the Triaxian fleet closed in on Velcara, a new revelation shook the foundations of Silvara's understanding. Through encrypted communications intercepted by Drake's intelligence network, they discovered evidence of a secret alliance between rogue factions within the Luminari government and the Triaxian collective. The betrayal cut deeper than any weapon, threatening to unravel the fragile unity that had sustained their resistance. Silvara confronted members of her own council, witnessing firsthand how fear and ambition could corrupt even the most enlightened beings. This internal threat proved more insidious than any external enemy, forcing her to question everything she believed about her people's inherent goodness. Drake's response to this crisis revealed another dimension of his character that both fascinated and troubled Silvara. Rather than succumbing to rage or despair, he demonstrated a level of political acumen that surprised even his own officers. He worked quietly behind the scenes, gathering evidence while maintaining operational security, all while preparing for the coming assault. His ability to balance immediate tactical needs with long-term strategic implications showed a sophistication that challenged her preconceived notions about human warriors. More importantly, he never once pressured her to choose sides or compromise her principles, instead offering unwavering support as she navigated this treacherous political landscape. The discovery of traitors within their ranks forced both leaders to make impossible choices. Silvara had to execute summary judgments against individuals she had known her entire life, while Drake implemented harsh security measures that went against his usual code of conduct. These decisions took a visible toll on both of them, creating moments of doubt and vulnerability that drew them even closer together. In the quiet hours between crises, they found solace in each other's company, sharing burdens too heavy to bear alone. Their relationship became a sanctuary amid the chaos, a place where they could be honest about their fears and doubts without fear of judgment. The situation reached a breaking point when a trusted advisor attempted to assassinate Silvara during a critical defense briefing. Drake's quick reflexes saved her life, but the attempt left her shaken to her core. For the first time, she experienced the raw fear of mortality that her people had largely eliminated through technological advancement. This newfound awareness of vulnerability changed her perspective on everything: on leadership, on trust, on the very nature of existence itself. Drake's presence became more than just comforting. It became essential to her continued function as a leader and as an individual. Through these trials, their connection evolved into something far more profound than either had anticipated. They began to see reflections of their own cultures in each other, the Luminari emphasis on harmony finding parallels in human concepts of teamwork, while human resilience complemented the Luminari pursuit of perfection. This mutual understanding led to innovations in both strategy and philosophy, as they blended the best aspects of their respective approaches to warfare and leadership. Yet with each victory against external and internal threats, they became increasingly aware of the temporal nature of their bond, knowing that the conclusion of this conflict would force them to confront questions they weren't ready to answer. The war's progression took an unexpected turn when ancient artifacts buried deep within Velcara's crust activated, responding to the unprecedented convergence of Luminari and human energies. These relics, remnants of a forgotten age when various species had cooperated against a similar threat, began projecting visions of possible futures. Silvara and Drake found themselves drawn to these projections, which showed alternate realities where their peoples either united or fell into catastrophic conflict. The images were disturbingly vivid, depicting scenarios where their growing bond either bridged galaxies or sparked new wars. Each vision forced them to confront the magnitude of their influence on interstellar relations. These revelations coincided with the emergence of a mysterious third faction, beings who claimed to be descendants of an ancient alliance between humans and Luminari ancestors. Their sudden appearance raised questions about the true history of interspecies relationships and the origins of the myths Silvara had dismissed as fairy tales. The newcomers possessed technology and knowledge that suggested centuries of hidden cooperation, challenging everything both leaders thought they knew about their respective histories. This discovery forced them to reevaluate not just their present situation but the very foundation of their cultural identities. The psychological impact of these developments manifested differently in each leader. Silvara experienced episodes where her energy form fluctuated uncontrollably, her body reacting to the cognitive dissonance between her upbringing and these new truths. Drake, meanwhile, began exhibiting symptoms of what his medics called temporal displacement syndrome, moments where his perception of time seemed to warp and bend. Their physical responses mirrored the turmoil within their minds, as they struggled to reconcile their growing affection with the weight of potentially reshaping galactic history. Their relationship became both sanctuary and battleground, oscillating between moments of profound connection and painful separation. Military necessity demanded they maintain professional distance, yet the visions and revelations pulled them inexorably closer. They found themselves stealing moments in Velcara's ancient archives, piecing together fragments of their shared past while dodging both Triaxian attacks and internal conspiracies. Each discovery about their people's intertwined destinies added another layer of complexity to their bond, making it increasingly difficult to distinguish between personal feelings and historical imperative. The situation reached a critical juncture when the ancient artifacts began responding directly to their presence together. The devices would hum with energy when they were near, sometimes projecting images of potential futures that seemed to hinge on the choices they made in these moments. This phenomenon created a feedback loop of responsibility and desire, as they realized their personal relationship might be the key to unlocking a new era of interspecies cooperation, or triggering unprecedented conflict. The weight of this realization pressed upon them constantly, manifesting in sleepless nights spent debating whether their feelings were genuine or manipulated by forces beyond their understanding. As the ancient artifacts intensified their influence, a startling twist emerged. The mysterious third faction revealed that Princess Silvara herself was not entirely Luminari. Through cryptic holographic records and fragmented DNA analyses conducted by Drake's team, they uncovered evidence suggesting that her lineage contained traces of human ancestry, traces so deeply buried in genetic memory that even the most advanced Luminari archives had failed to detect them. The revelation shook Silvara to her core, forcing her to confront the possibility that the myths of human warriors were not just stories but echoes of a forgotten truth about her own heritage. Drake, too, was caught off guard, though his reaction was more visceral than intellectual. He had always felt an inexplicable pull toward Silvara, a connection that transcended mere admiration or camaraderie. Now, he wondered if this bond was rooted in something far older and deeper than either of them could have imagined. Was their partnership destined? Or was it a cruel manipulation orchestrated by forces beyond their understanding? The ambiguity gnawed at both of them, creating fissures in their trust, not with each other, but with the universe itself. Just as they began grappling with these revelations, another twist unfolded. The Triaxian Collective's true motives came into focus. It turned out that the Triaxians weren't merely conquerors. They were scavengers of dormant technologies left behind by the ancient alliance between humans and Luminari. Their aggression wasn't born from malice but desperation. Entire sectors of their home systems were collapsing under the weight of temporal anomalies caused by reckless experimentation with time-altering devices. These very devices, the Triaxians claimed, originated from the same era as the artifacts now awakening on Velcara. They believed that controlling the fortress world, and its secrets, was their only hope for survival. This new information complicated everything. Neither Silvara nor Drake could dismiss the Triaxians' plight outright, especially when data recovered from the artifacts suggested that humanity and the Luminari had once worked together to seal away those dangerous technologies. If the seals were broken again, the consequences would ripple across galaxies, destabilizing space-time itself. Suddenly, the war wasn't just about defending against invaders. It was about preventing a catastrophe neither side fully understood. But the twists didn't stop there. As Silvara delved deeper into her mixed ancestry, she discovered fragments of memories buried within her consciousness. Visions of ancient battles fought alongside humans, of shared sacrifices made to protect the galaxy from the very technologies the Triaxians sought. These flashes of insight were accompanied by physical changes. Her energy form began to shimmer with hues previously unseen among the Luminari, colors that resonated with Earth's sunsets. She became something entirely new, a living bridge between two species thought to be incompatible. Meanwhile, Drake faced his own transformation. The temporal displacement syndrome he'd been experiencing grew worse, manifesting not just as distorted perceptions of time but as actual glimpses into alternate realities. In one vision, he saw himself leading a united coalition of humans and Luminari to victory over the Triaxians, forging a lasting peace. In another, he witnessed the complete annihilation of both species, their combined hubris unraveling the fabric of existence. Each vision left him physically weakened, as though his body couldn't handle the strain of witnessing multiple futures simultaneously. The situation reached a boiling point when the rogue factions within the Luminari government attempted to seize control of the artifacts, believing they could use their power to eliminate the Triaxian threat once and for all. What they failed to realize, or perhaps willfully ignored, was that activating the devices without proper safeguards would unleash chaos on an unimaginable scale. Silvara and Drake found themselves torn between stopping their own people and negotiating a fragile truce with the Triaxians, who had begun to see the error of their ways after learning the truth about the artifacts. In the midst of this chaos, a final twist emerged. The third faction revealed that the artifacts weren't tools of destruction but seeds of creation. Long ago, during the height of the ancient alliance, these devices had been used to terraform barren worlds, giving rise to ecosystems capable of sustaining life. The temporal anomalies plaguing the Triaxians' homeworlds weren't random disasters but the lingering effects of improperly deactivated terraforming engines. The key to resolving the conflict lay not in warfare or domination but in reactivating the engines correctly, a task that required cooperation between humans, Luminari, and Triaxians alike. Yet even as this revelation offered a glimmer of hope, it raised unsettling questions. Could such cooperation truly be achieved, given the centuries of mistrust and bloodshed? And what role would Silvara and Drake play in this grand experiment, especially as their identities continued to evolve in unexpected ways? Their bond, once a source of strength, now carried the weight of destiny, a destiny neither of them had chosen but couldn't ignore. As negotiations faltered and tensions escalated, Silvara made a decision that no one saw coming. She stepped down from her position as princess, renouncing her royal title to act as a neutral mediator between the warring factions. Her gesture stunned both allies and enemies, leaving a vacuum of leadership that threatened to unravel the fragile alliances holding the resistance together. For Drake, her choice was both inspiring and devastating, as it forced him to question whether his own loyalties, to Earth, to his troops, to her, were strong enough to withstand the storm ahead. With time running out and the artifacts growing increasingly unstable, Silvara and Drake prepared to make a sacrifice neither of them had anticipated. Deep within Velcara's core, where the ancient machines pulsed with raw energy, they stood face to face with the culmination of their journey. A moment that would redefine not just their lives, but the fate of countless civilizations scattered across the stars. As the artifacts reached critical mass, Silvara and Drake linked their energy signatures, human and Luminari essence merging into a single, radiant force. The surge of power stabilized the terraforming engines, halting the temporal anomalies threatening the Triaxians' worlds. In that moment, they became more than leaders or warriors. They embodied unity itself, a living testament to what could be achieved when species set aside fear and mistrust. The rogue factions fell silent as the truth of their shared history illuminated the galaxy like a second dawn. Yet the cost was profound. Both Silvara and Drake felt their individual identities fading, their consciousness expanding beyond mortal bounds. As the engines hummed with restored purpose, they turned to each other one final time, their eyes holding both sorrow and peace. "We were always meant to be this bridge," Silvara whispered, her voice echoing through dimensions now open to them. Drake nodded, his hand reaching for hers even as the light consumed them. And so, the war ended not with destruction but creation, leaving behind a legacy written in stars reborn, and two souls forever entwined in the fabric of eternity.